Hey guys, I am Haunted. Welcome to the stream today. We are going to be working on the Bellhop Porter today. We're going to be doing some detail work. We're going to be using a product maybe not everybody's heard of. It's called Mr. Hobby Multi-Black. It is, I think it's an enamel or an oil. I'm not 100% sure. I don't read Japanese. But anyways, it does not react with acrylics, which is really nice. And hey, Eleanor, how are you doing? But yeah, this is what we're going to be wearing. It does not react with acrylics. Therefore, you can put it on with a solvent. This is the solvent here. We use this for thinning purposes. We use it for cleaning purposes. Hey, Bitter Brush, how are you doing today? Welcome in. Welcome in. Much love back at you. Doing good, Eleanor. Thanks. Perfect name for the product. Yeah, I know, right? They make several colors. They've got browns and dirty rust colors and blues and all sorts of stuff. But anyways, we're going to be using this black here in the joints of Bellhop here. So anyways, what I was saying about it is, even though it has a solvent on it, because it's an acrylic or an enamel based, it will not interact with your acrylic paints. Just to be on the safe side, though, I did go ahead and give this guy a coat of varnish. I don't know if you can tell he's a little shiny. But yeah, so we went ahead and did that just to be on the safe side. I've got some Q-tips handy down there. We'll be ready to use them in a little bit. But yeah, so first things first, I'm going to show you how I pour this. Now, this particular stuff is not easy to pour, typically. It has a little shaker ball on the bottom. So now we're stuck. And if you look, there's no brush, no applicator, nothing. It's just an open bottle, and it's kind of hard to get down in there. So what we use is a little metal rod here, and I put this up against this. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. And it runs straight down the metal rod and nowhere else. See how that works? Isn't that great? There's none on the side of the pot. It's not messy whatsoever. Yeah, pour it on the rod. Sorry, poor choice of words. But yes, you pour it down something like a screwdriver or an old paintbrush or something to that nature, and then you don't have to worry about it going all over the pot. Thank you. All right, we'll do the same. Well, we really don't have to worry about it so much with this one because this the thinner's got not such a weird neck body, so just pour some like that. We'll be good to go. All right. And finally, I'm going to take a little bit of this and put it in here. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to pour it. I don't want to go one brush stroke at a time here. Now the thinner does have kind of a unique aroma, almost like turpentine, I think. Not the worst smell, not the best smell. Probably a good thing if you have some ventilation. Okay, I'm gonna put my eyeballs, and we'll get to work. Also of note, you probably do not want to use this with the brush that you're going to be using for your acrylic paints. So I've got some of these. These are from Sorry, upside down. These are from Dick Blick. They are sables, but they're not the greatest sables, but they're only $5.25 each. So worth the money for a cheap, decent brush. Aaron Cleese, how are you doing? Welcome in. We don't have to be like super precise with it, although you can. But because of its properties, like I said, being able to basically erase with it and not affect your acrylics, you can kind of slop it on if you want to. We're going to try not to slop it too much. But you see how it just kind of catches in and flows into all the crevices? Really nice. And it doesn't tend to dull the paints as much as like a matte, a wash would. So if you're doing this on metallics, the metallics still kind of maintain their sheen, which is something that washes will tend to dull down. I am doing good, Iron Cleese. Thank you very much. Oops, I did get a little crazy there. That's okay. It has a pretty long work time. Not quite oil work time, but you can definitely work with it a little bit before it starts to set. One of your favorites from the Explorer Society, Weird Kyle? Yeah, it is a fun character. That's why it called to me. I've got a bunch of these guys to paint, and this set wasn't exactly one I needed right away, but he called to me and he said, I need paint. So he's getting paint. A lot of times if I don't have an agenda, I'll just kind of sit there and look through the cards and see who starts talking to me. Not like actual words or anything. I'm not hearing voices, guys. Please don't misunderstand it. But when you're a creative type, things will speak to you. Something will catch your interest, your fancy, whatever, and that's what you want to work on next. And that's how I work. Also, hello everybody. Hello, Kyle. Yeah, this one's a little bit out of order, like I said, but it was one I wanted to paint because it is a fun looking little character. I will tell you, I was like, how the heck do these suitcases go on this guy? I was looking at it all sorts of ways. I was turning it this way and this way, and I was like, oh, it just plugs on the back of his head. That little rod in that thing was like, I couldn't figure it out. I was having a bad build day. Do you see how it wicked all the way up around the shoulder like that when I put it there? One of the beautiful things about this multi-black. I went a little crazier there, and it worked out. See? Went exactly where I wanted it, except right there. Z, how are you doing? Welcome in, welcome in. I am doing good. We are doing some pen washing using multi-black. I've only done this once on my stream even, so it's a relatively new process. It's starting to pop out those details quite nice. We are really super duper pixelated though. I wish you guys could see this as clear as I am seeing it. And so you just basically put it like right in the line and it just kind of starts flowing all around on its own. Like it just has its own life. So it tends to flow into the crevices and around the crevices with very little input from the user, which is great. And like I said, you don't have to worry about that dirtifying effect that you get with washes. If you slap a wash all over it, it tends to make the paint, the colors around it look muddy. You don't have to worry about that with this. You will get some color transfer, right? Some darkening, but then you pull out the Q-tip with a little bit of the thinner on it, and you just take that right off. If you don't get to it before it dries. And see, I got to that before it dried, so it's no big deal. No, I don't think it's your connection. We've got it's a latency issue, I think, with the software that we use. You had to get the boss out of the office again so you could watch. Man, it must be nice to work in a place where you can just kick the boss out of your own office. I mean, that's a pretty sweet gig you got there, Z. My goodness. I guess I could back in the day when I worked for Sight and Sound. I was a car stereo and security specialist there. I was bay manager, and so I was the manager of the bay, but I still had a boss, right? You know, the boss that hired me to do the work at the bay, but in the bay where I worked, I was king. So Jeff would come in there nagging at me, and I would be like, "Nope, out, get out. I got to get this done." And that was the one time I could do that. Never been able to do it since, but I did enjoy that. I do not miss. Well, I do miss it, but at the same time, I don't, because one thing Jeff did, he was a procrastinator. He would wait till 7 days before show every time. I don't know what it was about 7 days, but every day, every show we had, every meet, every competition, he'd wait till 7 days beforehand and talk to sponsors and get new equipment lined up. And we would have to rip the demo van apart and redo it for the new equipment and new sponsors in 7 days' time, which meant 7 days, no sleep, no rest until we had it done. And well, if I hadn't been young, it would have been nigh impossible to do. Lucky he may be the owner, but I run the office. There you go. That makes sense. Now see, I'm going to pull a little bit more down this way here into those wrists, like I did here. Got his fingers pretty well detailed. Let's get that thumb a little more. It's very soft there. Okay, and we'll do a little bit up here at his face. His face is mostly in shadow, so most of the detail is going to be in the little glowy eye bits and stuff. Okay. that has got most of that. Let's get these little rivets here on his arm. Oops, that was a little much. Wipe our brush off, come back, soak some of that up right there. Always use your finger eraser if you need to. And in this case, I'm going to go for a little bit of thinner. Just get that taken care of because that got out of hand real quick. I didn't want it to destroy the pre-shading entirely. So wipe off the excess thinner if I can. And I'm just going to put it around the base of the bolt. There we go. Just like that. Now I'm still trying to decide if I want to do this guy super new and shiny, or if I want to do him a little weathered, like he's seen some better days. But I'm leaning toward more new and shiny, since he is supposed to be a bellhop. He's supposed to be kind of, I guess, a representative of whatever Malifauian hotel he works at. So we'll probably have to leave him kind of in good shape, which is a shame because I've gotten to where I really enjoy rusting things. All right, so that part is basically done at this point. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in a little bit of the more concentrated stuff. This is the pure multi-black here. And we'll hit some of the other recesses, or the recesses that we've gone into that we really want dark. These elbows particularly, they're kind of on the softy side of the recesses, so we're going to hit them pretty hard. Z, this, you missed the earlier part when I was mentioning it. This is Mr. Hobby multi-black. It is an enamel or oil. I'm not exactly sure. Like I said, I don't read Japanese, but I think it's an enamel based wash slash weathering compound. And the nice thing is, because it is enamel or oil based, it does not interfere or interact with acrylics. So you can kind of slap it on and then come back in with the thinner, and it won't affect your acrylics. Now I got a little bit, you see there's a little bit of a line here. I will take care of that with the actual thinner on a Q-tip in a little bit. Or a brush, I could use a brush too. I'll make sure I have a nice sharp definition here against that bright color. I did not see. There's a really fine line right here, but it's just not enough to really get into it with the multi-black too much. Get it kind of like a suggestion of a line, but it's a really, really, really shallow one. Go Necromancer. Hey, dude. How are you doing? Lurking is 100% appreciated. Never, ever worry about saying I'm lurking or I can only lurk. It is always, always appreciated. Okay, let's hit that one with a thinner too, because that has gotten a little out of hand there. Go. All right. Looks like he has like a division right down the center of his face. Is that a robot mustache? What is that? Okay. Maestro, thank you for that follow. Sorry, I'm not actually doing it. I don't hear the notifications, and if I'm looking down at the painting, I don't see them either. So, thank you, Kyle, for keeping up with that. Okay, give this just a blip of time to dry. While that's doing that, I'm going to show you guys some other things that I worked on. We started on Mr. Fancy Pants last stream, Winston Finnegan, and so we started on him last Tuesday, and then I finished him up on my stream Sunday night. So we got his everything painted up, his little wine glass, his cigar, his holster, and even did something new, which is something I've not done ever before, but actually painted in the stubble on his head from his shaved haircut. Aaron Cleves, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So yeah, we did him, and just the other day we did Victoria 1 or 2. I'm not sure which one this is. This one was a deceptively difficult model to paint. Like when you just first start looking at her, you're like, she's going to be a breeze. I'll have that done in an hour. And then you start seeing all these little buckles and straps, and you're like, oh dear God, what have I signed myself up to? So yeah, she is a bit more difficult to paint than she looked. And I did not do the head stubble on her, but I figured she maybe keeps it cleaner cut. I don't know. I did her before Mr. Fancy Pants, so thank you. Yeah, that, like I said, that was a new thing for me. Usually I just do them skin tone and don't worry about that little detail, but now that I've kind of gotten the swing of it, I think I will probably incorporate this quite a bit more. I'll even try doing it, for like 5 o'clock shadows and stuff for male figures. So yeah, I don't know if this is dry yet, but we're going to go ahead and try. Normally I give it a little bit longer, but we're kind of like on a time clock here, so we're going to try and do it now. When you do this method, it helps to have good Q-tips. Don't use your dollar store brand Q-tips if you can help it. You'll still have some problems even with name brand ones, but the name brand do help a little bit. They don't unravel quite as bad. They don't come. You don't get as many loose fibers in them. So yeah, try and get a name brand if you can. I'm starting to get a little bit of fray there, so we'll switch over. Most of that will probably be covered up by the baggage back there, but just in case, we'll hit it with this a little bit. Okay. I'm going to come back in and hit that that rivet one more time in a minute. Now you remember we had this little line here. Oops, line's going away. Look at that. I don't really need to worry about up here, but we're going to do it anyways. You see how it's coming off of his vest easy? And that's all you got to do. Just kind of work it a little bit with the thinner and these little Q-tips. Ooh, that had a nice big old hair in it. All right. Top of the feet here. Yeah, let's see if we can get a little bit. Let's go use a new one here. All right. Just try to knock a little bit off at the wrist here. The wrist was intentionally left a little dark because it's kind of like up underneath things. I just want to make sure it wasn't all wash that was doing it. And it's not. So that's good. All right. So that is basically our black lining for this piece. Is taking the get a little bit more right there. It's taking that plain gray spray up to another notch, I think, with not a whole lot of effort. Get a little bit of thinner here. And so that spot just doesn't. Oops. There we go. And another hair from the Q-tip. The good thing is those come off pretty easy most of the time. And yeah. Like I said, this is why you want to use name brand ones, because even the name brand ones will shed, but the no names will shed a lot worse. Okay. So then we're going to come back in just a wee bit more of this multiple. That was too much. Too much. Here we go. Make sure I've still got my definition here. We did lose a little bit when we were cleaning up the area around it. Look at those hinges a bit. Handle. And that door, make sure those are aligned good. Okay. Now we're going to switch our brushes. These are clean. And bring out the old wet palette. Sorry for the noise there. If I recall, his vest was kind of a maroon color. No, not burnt red. Where's my black red? Oh, there she is. Okay. So we're going to start putting in some of our acrylic colors now. As soon as I find my brush, there we go. Took me a second. Hey, Shane, thanks for that light. And we're going to get some color on this guy finally. You guys have any preferences for his pants? Dark gray, black, something like that? Probably look most. Could do khaki. Khaki would be appropriate, but for Bellhop, probably black or dark gray. Like old Mr. Fancy Pants there. And it looks streaky because we're putting it on pretty thin here. But so that will come out with the second coat. And it's hard to believe it's been that long since N3 came out. It just seems like yesterday kind of thing to me. No hand for you guys. Y'all been busy little beavers. That robot goat. The robot goat is pretty funny. I need to paint that one. So while we have some people here, do you guys prefer that we paint a miniature from start to finish on the weird streams? Do you mind if we come in with base coats down and then show a particular technique like I've done today with the multi-black pen washing? How do you guys like things to work? think it basically goes back to his shoulder to here, and then the I probably should have filled that a little bit better. I did not get my my filling agent after these crevices. I usually use Milliput for this. A lot of people use green stuff. Me personally, I prefer Milliput because it is water soluble or alcohol soluble, and you can basically thin it down to a little slurry, and it gets all in the crevices, and you don't have to do a whole lot of sanding work then. The other thing is it does not shrink. So unlike green stuff, when you put the green stuff down, it will shrink up, and you tend to have to come back in and put another layer down. This Milliput does not. So that's why it's my choice for gap filling. But unfortunately, I did not do that much on this one. Oddly, despite playing for a long time now, I have generally avoided constructs. I do like the fat cap. Fat cap is very cool. I just picked up that at the last sale myself, and that and the Mayfang Nightmare. I've been looking for some suitable proxies for the rest of the crew to play in friendly games. I know I can't use them in tournaments or anything like that. But for like, you know, Neil Henry and the Metal Gammon and Survivors and stuff like that. I don't know if anybody takes Survivors with her, but I wanted to have them available. But do I have them here? I don't. Ah, here he is. This is the smaller sculpt. I don't have the larger one. But he's a cyberpunk orc with a big rocket-powered hammer. And like I said, this guy's woefully underscaled. So I've got a scaled up one that's about this tall who fits closer to Neil Henry's proportions. So this would be the one that I use as my Neil Henry. And then I've got a I don't see. Oh, here they are. This will be Willie. I'm calling her Wilma, but she's a little or a teenager in a Lolita dress riding a Hello Kitty motorcycle with an RPG on her shoulder. So this is going to be Willie's proxy to go with that Nightmare crew. All for base coats being done. Would like to see start to finish, but yeah, that's just, okay. Well, I was just curious about that because, you know, like I said, I did. I think Ben is doing start to finish on his, but I tend to get. I'll start a project here, and I see it sitting on my desk, and I want to finish it, and that's what I did with old Fancy Pants. I wanted to finish him up, so. But I will try and reserve one that can be just painted fully from one end to the other on stream here. Most of this is not going to be seen back here because of the lug edge. We're still going to paint it. Ooh, pardon me. All right, and this is just black red from Vallejo. Anybody is interested in the color? I use a large number of Vallejo colors and GW. That's pretty much what I use most of the time. have a few scales that I use, Scale 75, and then I also have the Scale 75 Artist Acrylics, which are really nice. They have a lot of colors. They are horrible tasting paint. So I'm a brush licker. I don't lick the brush typically with paint on it. I'll rinse the brush out, but those Scale 75 taste so bad that even after rinsing the brush out, licking it is still not fun. Ooh, we got the Goobertown Hobbies in here. Thank you for that follow. How are you doing, sir? The Esoteric Brush Licker Society only admits to the mistake. Nice. All right. Let's see here. I want to check real quick on his luggage, make sure I don't need to correct that little boo-boo that I had. Oh, actually, that shows a lot more than I thought it would. Okay, so I got a little out of the lines down there, so I'll have to fix that up. We've just started. This is our second week, Goobertown. Make sure that is black. Okay. Frankly, still have a few Counts As models to pick up for the Nightmare crew, but I am painting up Vic's crew and probably EBS crew before May get some of the days. Nice. I still, like I said, got to finish up my Vic crew. That titles card has me excited to give them a try. So I just designed a base, well, 3 bases for the original Vics to turn them into. Oh boy, that just fell right off, didn't it? Her pistol fell off. Whoops. To convert the old 2E Vics into the title until the official model comes out. And then, of course, I'll buy that. But for right now, I want to try that card out, see how it works. So, yeah. I've liked all the alt cards or the title cards. The only one I wasn't really, I guess, super enthused about was Yanlu, and that's only because I'd never played him, and so I'm not sure how I would how the other card compares. But all the other ones have been very cool. I'm hoping Reba's is next. Okay, got that in. The title version looks really good too. But I like the original Vix. Oh, I agree. There's nothing wrong with the original Vix. I want to try that title version out and see how it goes. So I think we're gonna go ahead and slap some black down on those pants. No, next time I'm going to try and have a palette cam set up. I did not get to it this week, but I will try and have that done for future streams. Having both options is brilliant. I'm going to solo them at UK Nationals later this year. Wow, that's awesome. I'm more a painter than a player. As much as I would love to be a good player, I'm worse than Craig. And Craig is like tournament level compared to me. Okay, so I paint more than I play, and I'm probably always going to paint more than I play. But one of my friends from out of state has recently moved down here, and she lives very close to Gigabytes, as well as Weird, because that's where she's working now. And now that she's in a local area, or local-ish to me, 2 hours away, I'm probably going to get in a lot more games now. Okay, just run this black around the edge here. Probably would have been a good idea to come back in with a matte coat after we'd gotten finished with the multi-black, because painting over gloss is not super easy. I didn't want to get the airbrush involved on stream, so we're just gonna make do over gloss for right now. But it definitely does add a level of difficulty to it. I need a pair of tweezers, and I don't have any with me. There's a little hair on his wrist that's bothering me, but I can't get to it right now. So, what is everyone's favorite master, and why? Any thoughts on that question? Molly, perhaps? Nice. Molly's a good choice. What did you think of her new title? Or have you watched it? from a lore standpoint, Hoffman and Yedza, really? I'm not a huge lore person, which is bad because I know Malifaux has a very rich lore, but I usually get just enough to like get a feel for which crew I like, and that's usually enough for me. But I really do need to read up on it. I read up on like why certain masters were in DMH now, but like that's about as far as I read. So what's special about Yedza's lore, if you don't mind me asking? What stood out to you most, I guess? Read it, but sort of steering into Explore, so I don't know if I will play it. Gotcha. Always have a soft spot for Perdita. She was your first master when I started playing way back when. Nice, Ironclays. Well, when I first got into this, which was basically at the tail end of 2018, or was it 2019? And somewhere around there. Anyways, I was looking for a new game system, and one of the streamers that I watched, Slow Fuse, recommended Malifaux, and he started talking about the system and the masters and a little bit of the lore, and it sounded very, very interesting to me. And I was like, okay, great. Well, what master? Because there were so many, what master should I start with? And he's like, well, I'm going to tell you. He said, Lady Justice is one that's relatively straightforward because we were into E at that point. Perdita is another one, and Lilith. And I looked at all of these online, and Lilith and the Neverborn seemed to suit my interest more, looks wise or aesthetics or whatever wise. So I went with Lilith, and I bought everything that looked like it would go with her. It basically had all the Black Blood, Nephilim, Half Blood miniatures, right? And like 2 weeks later, the M3 beta leak occurred, and I realized, oh boy, all these models I got now, or the master that I got, is now Dead Man's Hand, and I didn't know how that would play out, So I was like, well, let's look for somebody else, and I ended up picking up Dreamer and Pandora. And Dreamer, probably the most difficult master to get a hold of because, he's got so many models he can summon in. So most expensive to start with, I guess. But I felt like I actually kind of understood him a little bit better than I did Dora. Dora, I'm still trying to get a handle on. Your brother started with Lilith? Nice. I still have her. On the off chance that they come back. Or if I want to and can play Dead Man's Hand, I have her because I wasn't sure if maybe her model would be deprecated, her box set because of being in Dead Man's Hand. So I made sure I got a set before it potentially disappeared. Okay, so we got those base kits in there. Love the fact that Yedza's everlasting life predates the breach. It shows that our side has its own dangers and mysteries. Ooh, interesting. I'm going to have to read that book now. Now you've gone and done it. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of Mephiston red, and we're going to mix it with some of that black red. This black red here. And we'll mix them about 50-50 roughly. Do love the look of Nekoma title. She will see a lot of table. Yeah, Nekoma's looking sweet. I like the new sculpt. I like the new card. This is going to be my 5th Nekoma, guys. My 5th Nekoma model. Like, good Lord, how many more of these can I put on my shelf? Because I think it's the 1E. It's the metal one. She's up on one leg. She's got the sword that's as big as her body, and she has the really big wings. I think that's the 1E sculpt. And then I've got the 2E standard sculpt. I've got the 2E alt sculpt. And then I've got her M3 sculpt. And now we got a title sculpt. So I'm going to have more Nekoma than I know what to do with. Model wise, anyways. Don't put them on shelf on the table. That would require me painting for myself, man. Gotta get my own models painted so I can play. I'm one of those that just I have a hard time playing if my models aren't painted. How are you doing, Tiger? Been a while. I mean, at least since I've seen you in chat. Getting some brush lines in there. It is very dry here, so I'm going to start adding a little bit more water to these. Always just like, do you like that? I always disliked her and had her as an option in your draft league, and we played, and she is just fun to play. Yeah, I mean, you can't hardly beat a good old beat stick, Team Nekoma. New Nekoma card looks like a cool style of play too. Yeah. I was happy to see it. Like I said, basically all of them have looked interesting to me. Like I said, other than Yanlo, and that's only because I don't have a grasp of his normal play style. I seem to recall he does a kind of a power up thing, where like the longer he's on the table, the stronger he gets in his normal base form, and then until he's kind of like Super Saiyan, and it seems like the title form he kind of starts off a little bit stronger, but slower. So, and does most of his stuff through activations of other crew members, movement wise, anyways. Okay, you see we're getting a little bit of a buildup in the red color now, the brighter red. Very thin here, guys. When a Nekoma Nightmare crew with super cuddly Terratots and puppy dies. That would actually be kind of cool. I would be all over that, actually. Oh, totally. Yeah. Cute, cuddly, stuffed animals version of Nekoma. Yeah, I'm down with that. And now I have even more opponent playstyles to figure out. Yeah. That is kind of what I was worried about too. Like I said, because I am not as much of a player as I am a painter, so now I've got more to figure out. But for those that have played more, I can it's good for them. It will cut down on potentially things getting stale. So I see it for what it is. It's a good point to have them. But yeah, definitely for us that don't play as much or aren't as Malifaux smart, it's just more to learn. Yeah, good injection for IT. Exactly. Yep. Let me do something real quick here. There we go. There. Okay. Sorry, I did not have Discord pulled up where I could see it, so I needed to do that real quick so I can keep up with any issues or time and that sort of thing. So, Gus, it effectively doubles the number of masters without having to add in a full range new keyword models match. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I don't know if you guys notice what I'm doing here is when I'm pulling this brighter color in, I'm pulling up toward his shoulders. Now, granted, it probably would be about equal because of the way his belly is swelled, but I'm pulling the brighter portion of the color up toward the top of his shoulders. Because I'm thinking of the sun as being overhead, right? But like I said, because his belly sticks out, it'd actually be about equal here and would just be darker maybe on the recesses. So maybe I do need to work with that. I guess a lot of what paints do I use? I use a mixture, but by and large, the two paints that I use most of is I use GW and I use Vallejo. I have a bunch of both, and I do have some. I do have. Ooh, sorry. I have the full range of Scale 75 artist acrylics as well as Chimera. But I find most often, 99% of the time, I just go with GW or Vallejo. I do have some Scale 75s for metallics. I do like their metallics are they're almost creamy, right? They have such a good texture, but you have to be careful because these do have a gel medium rather than a water-based medium. So they act a little different than your standard paints and behave differently on the wet palette. So, but that's what I use. Mostly Vallejo, a smattering of GW, and then that's basically what I use. It's definitely going to be interesting for the game, especially as some of the masters are drastically different. Yeah, they really are good Ironclays. I like those. Their metallics a lot. I mean, they have some great standard colors. The reds. The reds are just gorgeous. And red is one of those colors that I really like to paint. So I probably should get them just because they are so pretty. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Bought the full scale during lockdown. Nice. I'm a little bit jealous, dude. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I'm jealous. I have never bought an entire range. I probably should. Well, I take that back. I bought the entire Chimera range and I bought the entire Scale 75 range, artist acrylic range. But I've never bought like your good old dropper bottle and an entire range at a time. I don't know why. Just, I guess it hurts to look at that, $400 price tag. And it's just like, I don't want to buy the whole range. I'll just use this color that I like. No shops near you carry the Scale 75s, and I like to pick up. Yeah, that's true. And that's the reason, I'll be honest, that's the reason why I went back to this. I had pretty much gotten away from it except for Everland Sunset. Everland Sunset is the best yellow, hands down. I cannot find a better. Okay. But I had weaned myself off of them pretty much, except for that one color. And then I realized, I can buy those things at practically any store, anywhere, anytime. So if I need a paint, I can practically go to a 7-Eleven on the corner and pick one of them up. And you can't do that with Vallejo. So I was like, you know what? I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to buy some more of those. So I started building back up my collection. Geography is the biggest determiner of paint. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because you never know when you're going to work, especially for a commission painter. You never know when you're going to run out, or, well, you should, but most of us don't. And if you're in the middle of a commission, you've got to get that miniature out. So you need to have that paint match, and you need to be able to get it now. Same bottle I've rebottled. Maybe. These are the old ones. When I went to rebuy them at Amazon, they were $29 for 100. And so I didn't get those. I got these instead. They have a little lip here on this and a little bit more prominent seam line, but they seem to be working pretty well. But yeah, I always decant the paints. It just makes it easier to work with. I also blow people's minds because I don't use a funnel. I just pour them by hand. I am a madman. That's exactly right. I am a madman. Yep. See, somebody gets it. Now, when it gets to the very tip end, like where it's just the last drop or two, I will throw it into a funnel and turn it up and walk away. And I have a bunch of funnels for that. So I can have multiples going at once. But the initial pour, the big pour, all done by hand. I was literally just filling up a few dropper bottles yesterday and even managed to spill when using a funnel. Wow. That takes a special kind of talent. All right. So we're getting that brightness built up there in the red. I'm not sure if you can see it yet. I still got some wetness going there, so I have to dry for a bit. But yeah, you can start to see that it's brightening up a little bit. So next we're going to just pull in some plain old Mephiston. To To be fair, it was wash and a pour. Yeah. Wash should do it. Now, wash is thinner and there's less. Well, you have less reaction time to control it. Okay, it's easier to control, but you have less reaction time to it. Okay, with the thicker paint, it's harder to control because it's thick, but it moves slower, so you have more time to adjust. So yeah. Let's try it from this side so I'm not getting that arm in danger. But I like washers and dryers, so it's easier to brush with them. Oh, I agree. Yeah, do I have one handy? Yeah, I got my known oil gloss there. Then you see how little I have left. I have gotten to where I very rarely use washes now. Um, at least washes. I use, like I said, we tried out the multi black, which is an enamel wash, and then I also use oil washes now. If I use them, most of the time I just tend to make paint with a darker base and then build up around it to leave what would be in the recesses darker like a wash, and then build your highlights up on the brighter spots. So that's typically what I do now versus using a brighter color and slapping a wash in on top of it. Okay. I think we might came in a little hot with that Mephiston. So we're just going to kind of glaze it back down a little bit here. Not right now. I'm actually just putting the Mephiston on the other side. But since I have to wait for it to dry, we'll be going back to the other here in a second. Okay, I'm going to mix a little bit of that Mephiston back into our mix. So we don't have quite as big a step up as we did on the front. crap, just knocked a brush right into my paints. Yikes. Thanks for that like, Doug. Appreciate it. All right, so we're basically working this pure Mephiston up here on top of the shoulders, and then we're going to glaze it back into the midtones that we're doing. Okay, it looks like we have about 45-ish minutes left. So we can still get some more work done on this baby. A bit more water, that's a little thick. And we'll just start bringing it down from the Mephiston into the black red. Brush direction has a lot to do with your paint intensity. If you don't already know, where you lift your brush up is where you deposit the most water and pigment. So you can use that to your advantage if you're trying to build up a color, be it a highlight or whatever. So you pull toward that spot where you want that highlight and then lift your brush up, and it deposits more of that pigment and water at that spot. So you get a more intense point of color. Well, you see me pulling toward the middle here from both directions. Okay, I'm going to get in a little bit of my original red black. Get it a little thinner than that. That's about right. Now we're going to come in and catch it from this direction. Pull toward the bottom. Smooth that transition out a little bit. And that was what I didn't want to do. I got it on my white. Hang on. We'll see if we can soak up some of that. We did. But we got a little bit of staining. See if we can get some of that off there. Never freak out if you make a mistake. There are ways to fix most everything. There is going to be a little touch up on my arm. but it's not near as bad as it was going to be. So yeah, not horrible. We can fix that. That is an unfortunate side effect of thin paints. You can lose control. But most of the time you can clean it up pretty easy. Thank you, Ironcleys. Well, nothing says bellhop to me that, except or more, sorry, the words. Nothing says bellhop more to me than a red waistcoat. Okay, come back in with some more Mephisto on here. The center. I'm just going to kind of wiggle it back and forth, kind of blend that line in a little bit. Goodness gracious. I might should have eaten before streaming today. My stomach is just gurgling. I hope no one hears it on stream. So we're just kind of working back and forth glazes, different, either the middle tone in between or the red black toward the bottom, just to help things blend in a bit more. Okay, back to that middle color again. And use some of that here as well. Okay, starting to get where I want it. It takes a little time sometimes to build it up to where you want, but once you do, it's worth it. Okay, I'm going to let that dry a little bit. So I'm going to work on his pantaloons a little bit. We're going to use a little bit of dark gray, a bit of black, because we don't want to go quite dark gray yet, because it's kind of a start transition. So dark gray and black, about 50-50 is a pretty good start for doing some black highlights. Now, there are other ways to paint black. That is almost too bright. We'll see how it looks when it dries. Black, you tend to do one of two ways. You highlight with grays, or you highlight with blues. That's your most typical way. And if I use blues, I tend to go with Fenrisian. Well, let's use this one first. I tend to go with Dark Reaper first, and then a mixed Dark Reaper and Fenrisian, and then I'll go with Fenrisian gray. And that's usually my black highlights. I typically do that on something that has a lot of line work on it, because I feel like it gives a better result on wrinkles than it does on flat surfaces. For flat surfaces like these thighs, I feel like the gray buildup is better. So it kind of depends on what you're painting at the time, which highlight color you go with. So for me, like I said, large flat surfaces, I'll go with gray. And for, super wrinkly surfaces, I'll go with the blues. Again, it's kind of a preference thing. Not everybody has to paint like Haunted, but that's what I do. In fact, I hope not everybody paints like me. But, yeah. All right. Get that. I'm going to come around on these corners here, or the edges. It looks like he has a little pinstripe at the bottom of the pants, so we may come back and hit that up a little bit. Maybe with some non-metallic gold piping. Bless you, cat. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Captain Sneezy Pants. You'll never see him, but you'll always hear him. Sneezy Kitty. Yes, he is very sneezy. His name is actually Stormcloud, but since I started streaming, I have changed it to Captain Sneezy Pants, because that's what he does. I need one of them to carry my shiny. I hear you, Black Velvet. If I wasn't so picky about my produce, I would be all over just doing one of those grocery delivery services, because I hate grocery shopping more than anything. But then again, I'm also picky. So it's like, well, I guess I have to do it because I don't trust anybody else to do it for me. All pets need a good 3 to 4 or 3 to 10 nicknames. Yeah, I guess so. That's the way he makes himself known in my streams, is he just comes in and just starts chain sneezing one right after the other. Okay. Going to do a little bit of that kind of second to last mid-tone. This is a little bit more Mephiston than black red. We're going to pull back toward the Mephiston. Okay. And I'm going to say we need a little bit more of that first highlight, which was our first midtone, which was just Mephiston and black red at a higher concentration of black red. Times like this, it would be handy to have a palette cam. That way I could just show you what I'm getting. So we're going to try and work on that next week, getting a mount for another camera. And then we'll be able to show you the palette too. Oddly, I use flesh mixed with black when I'm doing black. Oh, can't remember where you picked that up from. That is an interesting tip, Cleves. I will look into that. I'll give it a shot. Guessing sticking the other bags on his shoulders later is correct. Yeah. They are sitting right here. I just wanted to do them separately. And because this piece is very easy to attach post-painting, I did leave it off. Most Malifaux miniatures I do fully assemble because they tend to be very fiddly when you're trying to assemble and require like multiple test fittings till you find that just that perfect spot where they're supposed to go. But this one, like, just it locks in, and I figured that one I can do post-painting, so I will be leaving the luggage off to paint separately. Use a light khaki color the same way. Interesting. I had never heard that one before. Now I do it with, with stockings, to use the flesh mixed with the black, but I have never done it with pants before. Only complaint about Malifaux's models is the small fiddly bits. Yeah, they can be kind of fiddly, but that's kind of their gig, right? I like using a blue in the aqua range of the spectrum for that. Interesting. They've even got a shirt for it. They do. I remember you were asking Ben were the models suitably difficult to build because you have a reputation to uphold. Somebody had told me that a while back, and I was like, nah, surely they're not like that. It was all on purpose. Although I have to say the Explorer stuff and the other M3E models that I've assembled so far have been a lot easier to put together. So if you're trying to uphold your reputation, you may want to go back and make them a little bit more difficult. Because they are a lot easier to assemble now. Definitely not bone pile difficult. Or old yellow beard difficult. I'll never tell if it's a joke. You're not sworn to secrecy. Okay. That's great. just a little bit. I'm going to come back in here and do a little bit of dark gray on those pants now. Let's see. Some of the Umbra models were quite a bit fiddly. The Nocturnes. Okay, I have not gotten to those yet, Gus. So that would explain why I'm not sure about them. But like Finnegan, Breeze, Bellhop, Breeze. Other than, okay, I wasn't quite sure about the backpack. I was looking at it like, how does this thing go on? How does this little T thing go on here? That took me a second. Okay. But once it kind of clicked, I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Easy. Got it. You chose the wrong day to do that model. Nellie's printing press. I have not assembled that one either. I've got Crossroads 7. Oops, it's not over there. I've got the Crossroads 7s at some point. I do plan on painting. Once I get my queue a little bit closer to being finished, because they're for me and I really want to put some time into them instead of like quote commission time. I want to like really put some work into them. So I will save the Crossroads 7s for later, but that organ for Envy, I imagine is probably a pain in the butt to assemble. How easy the Mounosaurus Rex is to build. Nice. I've got one of those also in my to-do pile. Okay. So we're just kind of building up the center of these little highlights here a little bit. Catching a couple of the wrinkles. He doesn't have much of a booty, but we got to give him a little bit of bump back here. Okay. I need to build him so that Marcus can have fun mutating him Rex plus wing. Oh, interesting. I have it. I got it mainly technically right now for Titania because I do not have Apex keyboard yet. And I'm not sure how well he plays in Tour. Again, I'm more a painter than a player. Okay, we are getting very close to the end. We're about 15 minutes away. So I'm going to try and wrap up that red before we go. I keep forgetting we've got this back portion to paint too, so we got to get some on there too. He's fun in Apex and he's fun in Fae. Well, that's good to know. Definitely good to know. Now, this is definitely going to be in shadow, so I don't have to worry about it being super intense here, but I don't want it to, you know, be in shadow either and boring. So okay, just wait a little bit more of that to dry. We're going to just come in. Blendy there. Okay. Come in with some plain mephisto on here. And just a little bit of back and forth on that. I think we're really close here on that red. Okay. We are at 15 minutes. I'm going to come back down and reinforce this shadow here just a little bit on the other side of this piping, because we lost a little bit of that when we were glazing back and forth. So now when I come in and do the piping, we should have a nice, you know, black-red reset shadow here. Worst case scenario, I can always come in with some of the multi-black and drop it here as well. And that's just black-red again. We're going to do one more little glaze toward the bottom here. What faction would I be in if I went through the breach? Ooh, good question. Probably guild, honestly. Not a popular answer, I'm sure, but yeah, probably, because yeah, probably guild. Now, if I were just me going through the breach, now if I somehow changed a little bit going through the breach, probably Neverborn. But yeah, just me going through the breach, probably gravitate toward guild. So yeah, got our red pretty much where we're wanting them. We've got our pen washing in, and our next step will be to start working on the ribbing here. The piping, I guess, is actually called. around his vest, as well as all the edge highlighting that we're going to be doing on all these metal bits. And once those are in, that's really going to help pop it out a lot. And then, of course, we'll work on the pants some more and stuff like that. Yeah, I think the red's about where we want it. May do a little more glazing before the day is out, but it's not bad where it is. Thank you, Gus. Appreciate that. Ironcleys really enjoyed the stream, but I'm going to hop off and get ready for bed. All right. Have a great night. Sleep well. Thank you for hanging out with us, Ironcleys. We enjoyed you hanging out here with us today. Hope to see you on our next stream as well. And let's see here. We got a few more minutes. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know while we're here that tomorrow at 11:30 Eastern, we'll have the lovely and talented Eleanor back again, followed up by Ben at 3:30 p.m. Eastern as well. So I just want to get that out of the way while we have our schedule up. So tomorrow at 11:30 and then at 3:30. You're welcome. And yeah, so we did some work on him. We used a product called Multi Black from Mr. Hobby. It's an enamel wash, I think, or oil wash. I'm still not quite sure which it is. It smells like an enamel. To do our pen washing here. And yeah. and don't forget, Gus Lotto. Doug, right? Doug, yes. That was it. Took me a second. I don't know when Doug streams next. I did not look that far ahead. On Thursday. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. But yeah, we tried out that multi-black on here, getting in our recess shading and or pen washing, whichever you want to call it. Built up some pretty reds here and did a little bit of work on his black dress slacks. And yeah. Do you guys have any questions or anything before we head out? Techniques used, or I don't know, anything else? Thank you. Thank you, Playweird, for getting that link out there. I appreciate that. So Willow Link has links to all my social media, and I'm kind of crazy. I have a lot of them. Not many people have 2 Twitch channels, but yeah, I'm one of them. One is for my paint centric, which is the main one, haunted_miniatures. And then I have one that's for generalized hobbying, like, you know, whatever I happen to be working on, some terrain and whatnot. That one is a haunted hobby. So the Willow thing it's like a link tree. It's a collection of all your social media links in one place via one link. So you click it and it has all the individual links. For someone unfamiliar with weird miniatures, where would you suggest they start? Up until recently, I would say, you know, grab a core box of whichever one looks coolest to you. Now we've got some of the starter boxes, the Outcast, the Explorers, and the Bayou. I'm going to probably suggest those because they have a measuring widget, some scheme markers, and a fate deck, as well as 4 models that could be used in Henchman, Hardcore, whatever. But they're versatile models, so it would work with any of the other models in your faction. So I'm probably going to suggest going with one of those. Me personally, Neverborn is probably still my love, my first love for Malifaux, and they don't yet have a starter box. So for them, I'm probably going to say Dreamer is my favorite. Yes, that's true. It does double as pieces for Bayou Bash, which is incredibly fun. I did not get to beta test that one, but it was, we played it the other night on Tabletop Simulator. It was fantastic. Had a great time. I am anxious to get that one in my hands. But yeah, Dreamer is awesome. So, yeah. I will say this. I do like my 2E skull better than the 3E one. That's just me personally. But yeah, Dreamer is awesome. You don't play Bayou, but I'm totally getting that box. Yeah, totally. It was actually kind of what got me into Bayou. And I've only recently gotten into them. But when I saw that starter box and I saw Bayou Bash, I was like, oh, I've got to get it. So as you can see, right over there. Well, actually, I don't know if you can see it. You can't see it. I've got the start of the Trixie keyword. Well, I've got the entire keyword now. And I've also got the beginning of Ulix. So yeah, you do. You do. If you want to, just let me know. And if you can't find anybody else to play with you, I will jump in and we'll play a game of Bayou Bash. I know my friend Llama probably would jump in as well. So we'll have at least 3 players. I think that's getting pretty close to end there. Weird guys, do we need to talk about anything else other than socials? Count you in if you can play Stumpy. Nice. Definitely you can. I played the rabbit the last time. I'm always about speedy characters, so the rabbit was the one I had to choose. And so yeah. Carrot Cake Quake. Yeah, I wish I'd gotten in on that one, beta testing it. It was fun. Also, the other one that I did beta test is coming soon, Vagrant Song. So if you've not seen that one yet, definitely look it up in the weird social media pages. That is one you want to keep an eye on. Have no clue what any of them do, but they look fun. Yeah, they're all fun. And they have their little quirks. But yeah, so decent day. I was happy to get old Finnegan done. Got some pretty reds, got some lines done. Yeah, Vagrant Song is cool. I love the artwork for it. That's one of the things that really got me was the artwork. I mean, drew me straight in. And the gameplay is fantastic. Not an easy game by any means. Like as far as like we're going to win this game thing, very, very rare. It's like it's a difficult game. And that took some getting used to because you're kind of used to that winning game. Even though it's not like guaranteed, you seem to have it a little bit more often with other games, and you have to take some knocks and Vagrant Song. So, have I seen the photos of the proof copies that Kyle's been sharing? I've seen the ones he's had on Discord and Facebook. I don't know if he's posted any recently, but I did see them. They look good. I'm, like I said, anxious to see that one out on the shelves as well. I've got Bayou Bash sitting in my pre-order cart, but I don't know when that's going to actually release. Yeah, I thought so. All right, guys. Well, my name's Haunted. It's been a joy painting with you today. Like I said, tomorrow, starting at 11:30 p.m. East or 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, Eleanor will be painting, followed at 3:30 by Ben. And then I think on Thursday we have Doug painting as well. I'm assuming 2:30 or 3:30, somewhere around there for your time slot. But you guys can find me here on Twitch at Haunted_Miniatures, or Haunted Hobbies, either of those two. You can find me on Facebook at Haunted Hobbies, Instagram at Haunted_Miniatures. I know it's a little back and forth there, but I was kind of working on my brand and things. One got one and one got the other. But yeah, it's either Haunted Hobbies or Haunted_Miniatures for my social media. There's also a Willow link in the chat that will lead you to all of them. So yeah, I think we've had a pretty good day. No problem. Play Weird. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. This social media outreach program from Weird has been fantastic. I love to see it. And I just want to see it grow and grow and grow, you know? So, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. And I guess we will, we'll head to our outro, huh?